Good morning, beautiful humans. I want to talk to you today about disassociation from the physical body. And I've really been super present to it recently. I am getting ready to start like a workout program next week and like a health and wellness thing. I started working out probably about a month ago and I just jumped in too hard too fast and my knees are talking to me about it now. And so I've had to completely back off from any kind of physical fitness over the last couple of weeks because I'm really feeling it. There was a level of frustration with that, of course, feeling like I can't do what I want to do. And the beautiful thing is that I had spent probably at least the first 30 years of my life being extremely disassociated from my body and from a lot of my emotions as well. And so, you know, coming from that kind of situation, like I am very present now to my emotions, to my body, what it's wanting to tell me, even if I don't quite understand it. Like I know the ultimate thing is slow down. It's okay. Like it's not the end of the world, even though I'm feeling some frustration and some pain, like emotionally, from not being able to go out and do the things that I want to do, that's okay. And so, disassociation is kind of a tricky one. And I didn't even realize this was a thing until somebody called me out on it, a coach that I previously worked with. And a really beautiful way to find this out for yourself is to think about how you're feeling. First of all, like what are you feeling right now? Are you feeling happy, sad, anxious, excited, at peace, calm, amped up? I don't know, whatever words you use to describe how you're feeling. Like, can you determine what the emotion word is with your feeling? If not, that's okay. Do you feel anything? Right? Are you feeling numb? If you're not feeling anything, that's dissociation to me. That's how I felt. It was either feeling nothing at all, was just numb, indifferent, like whatever, or it was my go-to outward emotion was like anger and irritation. So it was like these two ends of the spectrum. It was like all or nothing over here. And so as I came more in tune with my emotions, then I was slowly able to drop out of my head where I was having all of my experiences and drop into my body. And wow, like our body will tell us so fucking much if we're listening. Our body is obviously connected to the mind. Our body will play out stories that are deeply ingrained in the subconscious. And also, our body is also a faster intuitive indicator than our mind. Our subconscious mind always knows what's going on. Like we're operating from the subconscious always. But on the like conscious mind, the survival part that we live off of, is not always as fast as our bodily response. So for me, right now, I feel kind of excited. I have a chat this morning in about an hour with a colleague of mine, so I'm looking forward to that. And I feel it in my chest, like this light airiness, and I feel a little bit in my stomach too. So I feel both of those things, whereas previously in life, I just wouldn't feel anything in my body. I would just feel really mentally stimulated with the excitement. And so being able to develop that skill of dropping out of the head and into the body has been really beautiful because it's always talking to us and it rolls up into so many other things. It's like we don't like consult our body. Like I didn't until probably the last few months. I wasn't consulting my actual body. The because and what's beautiful about doing that is the body is connected to the subconscious. So when you're asking the body, you're actually asking the subconscious mind and you're getting a response via the body. It's so fucking amazing. And so, a lot of I do a lot of intuitive eating. Well, I mean, I am an intuitive eater at this point, and so I'll ask my body like, "What do you want to eat right now?" and give it to it. Body knows, right? And it's a skill also to be developed. So if you're starting to really tune into the body and into your emotions, um give yourself the grace to not have all the answers. This has been how old am I now? 34. So 4-year journey to really be this in tune. And does it have to take that long? No. That's just how long I've chosen to really dive into this piece. And it's there's so many layers. We all have different experience and different things that we're shedding and releasing. And so when we do that, we create this space to connect more and more with ourselves, and then that's when we can really begin to read the body. I even sometimes I'll want a piece of fruit at like 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, dude, why do you actually want this? Like, fruit is healthy. I love fruit. I eat it all the time. And I hold space for the fact that if I'm craving something at 9 o'clock at night, when I usually go to bed around 10, that there's probably something going on to be dealt with, right? Like getting to know those different cravings and symptoms and things and how they associate. I used to get a lot of headaches from stress, and I just would pop some Excedrin and call it a day, right? And just be like, whatever, I have a headache because I'm stressed out. There's nothing I can do about it. Well, I don't really get headaches anymore because I ended up dealing with all of those root things, removing the stressors. Like, why would I continue to just allow these things to really impair my health? Like, popping Excedrin 3 to 5 times a week, was not a healthy or sustainable habit. And I did that for like several years. And so as I've kind of moved past that, I mean, I haven't taken Excedrin regularly in probably over 2 years now. It's kind of rare that I feel that I need it. And at this point, I am learning more ways, more holistic ways for me to soothe the headache or whatever the pain may be. Um, and yeah, so when we dial in, it's really powerful because there was so many things rolling up into the headaches, and it was really just layer by layer, releasing. So now if I get a headache, because I've done so much work around removing the stressors that caused headaches for me, um, I know that it's a trigger point, and I know that whatever it is isn't a situation for me. Sometimes it's food that's giving me a headache. High sugar or salt for me will give me a headache. I've learned that the other day. High salt in the middle of the day is giving me a headache. I was playing around with my eating habits. I normally eat like one good sized meal a day, and then I just like drink smoothies and juices. And so I was like, oh, I'll have a midday meal instead of an evening meal because it's better, for your digestive anyways to like eat your heaviest in the morning or like early afternoon. So I was like, let me test that out. And I just noticed that I was having a headache for the 3 days that I tried that out. And then I was like, nope, I'm not into it. And so I had some leftovers. I ate the same food in the evening and I did not get a headache. So it's very fascinating that it's almost as if my body wanted to be primed and ready for that. And so it's really beautiful. And I get to also look at like those types of foods that I was eating. I mean, it was, I'm vegan, so it's all healthy, vegetables and whatnot. But I do salt my food. So I'm like I just felt as though like the salt content in the middle of the day for whatever reason just wasn't for me. And is that valid or not? I don't exactly know, but that was just sort of the hunch that I received is like the heaviness, the carb load, because it was like some potatoes and some green beans and some stuffing that I had left over from Easter. And so that level, that heaviness of the food, my body wasn't ready for it yet, but I had no issue eating it at 5 o'clock in the evening. So it's fascinating when we really dive into our habits and like really begin to peel them apart and like really examine it and say, oh, why am I doing this? What's working for me? What's not? What can I adjust? What am I having a hard time adjusting? Because let me tell you what, like a year ago, 3 months ago, like the way that I live my life now was not a thing because I was still releasing a lot of other emotional things, addictions, and all of the shit. It's really, really insane. And so as I cleared out more and more and more, I get more in tune with my body, and it's amazing. Um, Even this year, I've been releasing shit like crazy. I released smoking cigarettes. I've released regular use of marijuana. I have released Netflix. What else? Sugar for the most part. I'm getting mostly natural sugars now. And I'm extremely aware of if I'm going to eat like a sweet or something because I feel like immediately how it affects me. Um, Carbs are greatly reduced. And so it's been one social media, like, very limited time. And these are all different forms of addictions. And that's just this year, never mind shit that I've been letting go over the past 2 years. I would say like the other really big period of release for me was in 20 around this time actually in 2019 where I went vegan in the first place. So in one shot, I just let go of all meat and dairy and all the things. And then also drinking alcohol, greatly reduced. I rarely drink a glass of wine or whatever here and there. And even then, I'm getting to the point where I'm just like, my body doesn't want it. Just simply doesn't want it. I literally like have a hangover the next day from a glass of wine. And, and that's just where my body is. But that's coming from, 3 years ago where I'd be drinking 3 to 5 bottles of wine a week. And which is quite impressive when I look back of, it's like high functioning alcoholic status. And even that is pretty tame for what I've heard stories about other people and their experiences with this, throwing back a fucking 12 pack and then showing up for work every day. And that being a routine every day. So, and when I was drinking, I was eating really shitty as well. So there's so many things that have rolled up into this. And as we just release and create space, we really come home into our body. Like this body is a fucking temple. And it's so beautiful and amazing. It's just like we just shit all over it. Like we don't treat it with the respect and care that it deserves, and then wonder why we're feeling shitty. So come into the body and really begin to notice like the emotions, like all addictions are emotion based. Like we're literally grabbing onto something else because we're having this emotional thing that is unhealed essentially. And so we're just covering it up and not dealing with ourselves. It's like the biggest fucking avoidance ever. And addictions come in all forms, right? The Excedrin for me, I told like I won't, I didn't like pill pop any prescriptions or any or do like I guess like hard drugs. I don't know what they would be called really. But Excedrin was like definitely a thing for me. And even caffeine recently, I've gone totally caffeine free. Um, just releasing, and I have the mental and emotional awareness and space to do that now. And it feels really good because when something emotional comes up, I'm ready for it, and I'm here and available to hold space for myself to move through it rather than to fall back into old patterns, because I realized like how shitty I was actually feeling. And being in a really good spot now, and it feels good to let all of that go. So it's quite a journey from being like completely disassociated emotionally and physically to really coming into myself and having this level of awareness. And it's a journey. This wasn't all in one day. Like I'm in a more accelerated rate and pattern now because I'm very deep into the work that I do with myself and others. But it's taken years overall for me to get to this point in my journey. And so wherever you are, just keep doing the thing and keep holding space for you, um, and your experience and all the feelings. And like, you're safe to feel your feelings. You are safe to do that without falling back into an addictive pattern. You're safe to do it. Okay. And, it can be painful and scary to let that shit go, because who are we without all of that? Who are we without grabbing a glass of wine or going outside for a cigarette? Who are we without having to smoke weed before going to bed to help us fall asleep? Like, who are we without all of that? Like, our mind doesn't really know, right? It's extremely unknown, which makes it scary. but take like a chance on yourself and really like fall into the unknown with the universe, with God, with you, and see what happens and see how your life fucking transforms because you're so much bigger than your addictions. You are so much bigger than any story that you tell yourself that you need something or can't live without it. So much bigger. I was literally on the verge of having to go on like acid reflux medication at age like 28. And now I'm super healthy. I don't get fucking heartburn anymore because I actually honor my body and stop like binge eating and like addictively eating things like stress eating to hide my emotional pain. Yeah. And so much beauty comes in that, and you know what, like I just fucking cry it out, man. Cry that shit out all the time. Like feel it, heal it. Like we have to fully feel these things before we can let it go. And there's such beauty and grace and joy in that. There really is, to be present for ourselves on that level. All right, that's what I've got for you today. I fucking love you lots, and I'll catch you on the flip side.